welcome to today's geography lesson. My name is Nomthandazo Malembe. This lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Phakama Research and Development. So today's lesson, we're going to focus on the revision. We will be doing paper 2 under question 2. So by the end of this lesson, learners, you should be able to identify the structure of paper 2 and also be able to focus on question 2, which is your economic geography. So before we start with our revision, I just want us to go through your examination tips. So we're going to start with the structure of your question paper. Your question paper is allocated with 150 marks and the duration is 3 hours. Your question paper will have 2 sections. Your section A with 2 questions, which is your rural urban settlement, 60 marks, and your economic geography, 60 marks. And then you move to section B, which is your map work with 30 marks. So to further break down the questions, your question 1, you will have your rural and urban settlement. Under there, you will have your short objective questions. So in total per question, you will have 5 figures. So your figure 1.1, those will be the short objective questions. Sometimes there will be 8 questions or there will be 7 questions. And then you move to your figure 1.2. Again, it's your short objective questions. It will have your 7 questions or your 8 questions. But in total, for your short objective questions, you will have 15 marks. And then you move to the next figures, which is your figure 1.3, 1.4 and your 1.5. Within those 3, you will have 1 paragraph question. So you will remember in your figure a 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. It's whereby you will have your short as well as your medium and your high order questions. Then again, same thing applies to our question 2, which is your economic geography. You will have those short objective questions for 15 marks, your figure 2.1 and your figure 2.2. Then you move to figure 2.3, 2.4 and your 2.5. In between those 3 figures, you will have 1 with a paragraph question, and then the rest of the questions will be your short questions, your medium questions, as well as your high order questions, whereby you need to give 3 times 2. Then you move to section B, which is your question 3. Under section B, you will have your map work. The further breakdown of the map work mark allocation, you will have your map skills as well as your calculation. It will be the total of 10 marks. And then your map interpretation, it will be 12 marks. Remember, when we talk about the map interpretation, you're going to interpret what we have learned in the settlement as well as the economic geography and what you see in the map that you are given. And then lastly, you will be doing your GIS. GIS is 8 marks. Remember, you need to know the concept. Then after understanding the concept, you will be able to apply them in the questions. So the focus today is on question 2, which is your economic geography. Let us go through the examination tips now. Now we are talking when you have your question paper. Remember, you will be having that 10 minutes reading time. So amongst that 10 minutes reading time, you need to read the instructions. The instructions are on your page 2. So those are the general instructions for the question paper, whereby they tell you that you need to answer all the questions. Remember, there is no choice. Now you answer all the questions, and they remind you that in terms of the mark allocation, again, in terms of your map work, you need to write all the steps because the marks are allocated per steps. They also emphasize that you need to put the units. If the question says you calculate in meters, then you need to put the meters as a unit. And then after that, you have done reading the instructions. Now you are going through the real questions. So before you answer, you need to make sure that you read the question twice. Why reading it twice? So that you understand clearly what the question is asking for. And again, you can read the questions and then you translate in your own language so that you get a further understanding of what the question is all about. And then after that, you need to underline the keywords. When I'm talking about the keywords, I'm talking about when the question is saying account or explain or name or state or identify, those are the keywords. And then also you need to underline the action verbs. If they are saying explain the economic sectors, your economic sectors, those are your action verbs, so you know what you are explaining. And then after that, you need to check mark allocation. Very important, because some of the questions, they will just give you a question without telling you how many responses that you need to give. So checking the mark allocation, if it's saying 2 times 2, it means you need to give 2 answers. 3 times 2, another 3 answers. And then after that, we're going to study the diagram. Each and every question that you will be given, there will be a diagram. A diagram can be an infographic, can be a photo, can be maybe the pie chart, or your it can be anything as long as it's saying refer to. So you need to refer in that diagram or in that infographic that you are given. So in referring there, you need to identify what are the features that you see. If you understand what the diagram or the infographic is all about, it will be easier for you to answer the questions. So identify all the things that you see in that diagram. And again, remember, you have 3 hours. 3 hours is a very plenty of time. You have 3 hours and 3 questions. It means it's 1 hour per question. Again, you need to utilize your time wisely. Then we're starting with our revision now. As I've said, the focus is on question 2. So under question 2, we're going to start with your figure 2.1. Your figure 2.1, those are your short objective questions. So we said study the diagram. So you are given refer to the map and data based on the coal mining, which means you are given 2 things here. It's the map as well as the data based on the coal mining. Complete the statement in column A with the option in column B. Again, you're going to read the statement in column A and then you match it with column B. And your short objective questions, they can come in a column A or column B, or in your multiple choice, or where you need to choose from the brackets. So to go through the diagram or the map, we are given the key. We're starting with the key. There is a port terminal as well as the coal mine. You can see the port terminal, it has a star, and then the dot is your coal mine. So you are given Limpopo with the coal mine as you see in the key. Then you are given Mpumalanga. There is a lot of coal mine in Mpumalanga. And then you are given a Free State. There is 2 there. And then you are given a port terminal in Richards Bay and port terminal in Port Elizabeth. So again, it says the map as well as the data. So the data, the coal mining, the direct employees from 2022 and 2023, we're looking at the employee earnings in billions. We're looking at the production in million tons. We're looking at the total sale. So now that we have identified what you have seen in the diagram, it will be easier now for you to understand what type of questions that you should expect after this. So now let us go through the exam tips. It says study the map. We have done that. Then check the key, and also you study the table. We have done that. Then you read the column A twice. Remember, you need to read the questions twice so that you understand. And then you refer to the diagram and then you write your answers. So let us look at our question. You are given column A and your column B. So in there, you don't have to write the full answer. You are given X, you are given Z, which means once you have certified yourself that the answer is Gauteng, you don't write Gauteng, but you write the letter which is Z. So the province accounting for over 80% of coal production. Is it Mpumalanga or is it Gauteng? Again, looking at the map, it will also help you to answer the first question. Then secondly, the main coal port terminal through which coal is exported. Which coal is exported? We're looking at the Port Elizabeth, we're looking at the Richards Bay. Then number 3, the main use of coal in the PWV industrial region is for. Again, you will understand what is the coal used for at the PWV. They use it, is it electricity generation or is it a steel production? Then your number 4, your physical factors. So it's physical, not just any factor. Favoring the coal mining. Is it a cheap, abundant labor or is it a shallow, high quality coal? Then your number 5, the process of coal beneficiation. Beneficiation is classified as, which means we're looking at as a sector in the economic activity. Is it a primary or is it a secondary? Then your number 6, from 2022 to 2023, there has been N or A or N, so decrease or an increase of 2.9% in direct employment. So again, you need to refer to the data that you were given. Your 2.1.7, the 2022 to 2023 trend in local sales will positive or be negatively affected by the foreign exchange earnings. So now that we have seen the questions, so I'm going to allow you the opportunity to go through the diagram on your own so that you can be able to identify all the things that you need. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to go through the map as well as the data in the coal mining. And then after 2 minutes, we will be able now to be in a position of answering the questions. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes to work on this activity, and then after 10 minutes, we will then be able to do the corrections. So your 10 minutes starts now. Girls and boys, I believe that we are all done. So let us look at our corrections. So again, remember to mark yourself, and where you got wrong, you need to write the correct answer. And then when you get home, you need to revise what we have done so that you don't forget. So the first question, the province accounting for the 80% of the coal production. You have seen in the map using the key that Mpumalanga has a lot of the coal production. So therefore, our answer is X. Remember I said we do not write the answer in full, but we use the letters. So X represents Mpumalanga. Then secondly, the main coal port terminal through which the coal is exported. We're looking at the Richards Bay, which is Z. And then your number 3, the main use of coal In the PWV industrial region, it's 4x. Remember, in PWV, they use coal to generate electricity. So hence the answer is X. Then your number 4, the physical factors that favoring coal mining. We are looking at the physical factor. So looking at X, it's saying cheap, abundant labor. Remember, labor, we're talking about the people. They are not a physical factor. So Z, it's the shallow as well as the high quality of coal. So those are the physical factors. Then your number 5, the process of coal beneficiation is classified as a secondary. Remember, beneficiation is to take the raw material and you manufacture or you turn it into a final product. So therefore, that is done in a secondary sector. Hence, the answer is Z. Then your 2.1.6, from 2022 to 2023, there has been A or N. Is it a decrease or an increase of 2.9% in the direct employment? So looking at the graph again, there is a increase of 2.9%. Then your 2.1.7, the 2022 to 2023 trend in coal sale will be positively or will be negatively affect foreign exchange earning. So it will be negatively because you can see between 2022 and 2023, it's been decreasing. So therefore, it is negatively. So by now, you have 7 months. So let us go through the next figure. Our next figure is figure 2.2. It says the photograph below shows the example of different industries. We are given the oil, we are given the bakery. These are the types of industries. Remember, in total, we have 7 types of industries. So here you are only comparing the 2, which is the oil refinery as well as your bakery. By now, you should ask yourself, what type of industry is the oil refinery and what type of industry is the bakery? So you match each description in question 2.2.1 to question 2.2.8 with the photographs. So if it's the oil refinery, you write oil refinery. If it's bakery, you write bakery. So again, it is important not to miss any number. So your numbering should be on a sequence. 2.2.1, 2.2.2 up until you reach 2.2.8. So in the tips, you need to identify the types of industries they belong to, like I've mentioned, and then you need to recall the characteristics of these types of industries you have identified. And also, you need to read the statement twice before you answer. So let us look at the question. So number 1, it says the break of bulk industry. Then secondly, we're looking at the large-scale mass production. And number 3, we're looking at occupies a small area of land. And number 4, located on urban periphery, which is the land. And then number 5 is the market-orientated industry. So you should ask yourself what type of the industry is market-orientated. And then number 6, it relies on a road transportation. And then your number 7, associated with a low levels of pollution. And then your number 8 requires a large amount of energy as well as water. So again, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go through the diagram so that you remind yourself the type of industry oil refinery is, as well as the bakery. You remind yourself about the characteristics so that you can be able to answer those questions. So just 3 minutes to go through these industries by their names as well as their characteristics. And then after, you will be ready to answer the questions. with the hope that we are all ready to answer the questions. So I'm going to give you another 10 minutes again. So 10 minutes to answer these 8 questions, and then after 10 minutes, we will be doing the corrections. Again, write your answers down so that it can be easy to mark yourself. You'll be able to identify which questions you got them correct and which questions you got them wrong. The ones that you will get them wrong, you need to redo them, or you write the corrections, and then when you get home, you then remind yourself. So your 10 minutes start now. Right, girls and boys, I believe that we are ready for the corrections. So looking at your question number 2.2.1, it says the break of bulk industry. You will remember that the break of bulk, we're talking about the industries where one mode of transport replaces the other, and the type of industry that are dealing with the bulk raw materials. So the oil refinery, they are only dealing with bulk, and there will be 2 modes that will be used there. It will come by the water mode, which is the ship or the harbor, and then after that it will be transported to the trucks, which is the road mode. And then second question, the large scale mass production, again, is the oil refinery, because it's going to require a large space for the production. And then number 3, occupies a small area of land. It's the bakery. They are only using the small machines and they do not require so much of the land, so they occupy a small area. Then your number 4, located on urban periphery, that is your oil refinery, again, because it will require a large space and a flat or a gentle area. Then your 2.2.5, the market-orientated industry. You will realize these are the types of industries that are supposed to be closer to the consumers because of their products that are given the specific dates. So they are perishable or they will expire soon. So bread, you cannot buy bread for over a month or over a year. So therefore you buy it daily so that you get it fresh and you consume it within the specific time. Then your number 6 relies on the road transportation. Again, every day you have seen bakeries in your locations delivering the bread, so therefore they rely on a road transportation. You cannot see a bread being transported using an aeroplane. They are only relying on the road transportation. And then number 7, associated with the low levels of pollution. Again, I have mentioned that the bakery, they are only using a small machines and they only require a small land. So therefore, the pollution is very less or no pollution at all. Then your number 8, it requires a large amount of energy as well as the water. So that will be your oil refinery. So by now you have 15 marks. So from 7 from 2.1 and 8 from 2.2, there's a total of 15 marks for your short objective questions. Then now we're moving right along to figure 2.3. Remember, to figure 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, you will have those long questions. But for now, we're just going to focus on the short questions only. Your long questions, you will have your 3 times 2, you will have your paragraph questions. So we said before you even begin to start each and every figure, you need to refer to the diagram that you are given. So refer to the infographic on beef farming in South Africa. So you are given provincial beef production. You are given South Africa's beef export, as well as the article. So you are given 3 things in this infographic. So again, it is important to go through. If we may go through together the provincial beef production, we see we have 9 provinces in South Africa. So per province, as it says, provincial. It's not a national, but it's a provincial. So your Western Cape, it's 4%. Your Northern Cape, it's 3.6%. Your Northwest, it's 12.8%. Your Mpumalanga, it's 9.6%. Your Limpopo, it's 7.2%. Your KwaZulu-Natal, it's 20%. Your Gauteng is 2%. Your Free State, it's 16.8%. And then lastly, your Eastern Cape is 24%. And then again, in South Africa's beef export, we are given tons. These are the tons and these are the year. So you can see the trend there. And then with the 80% of South Africa's agricultural land considered to be suitable for extensive grazing, the beef farming contributes to 34.1% to the total domestic agricultural production. But recently, South Africa's beef industry has been hit with the increased operational cost and the spread of disease such as foot and mouth. Fortunately, beef exports in 2024 are set to increase following Saudi Arabia's decision in 2023 to lift the ban on beef production from South Africa. The opening of the new export market will positively affect the country's economy. So now let us go through the tips. In going through the tips, you need to study the diagram. We have done that thoroughly, so we have looked into the 3 information that we are given, which is our provincial beef production. We have seen into the graph the tons as well as the years. The graph is based on the beef exports as well as the article. Then we have now we need to read the questions. So in reading the questions, we need to identify those questions that will say refer to the infographic. So let us go through the questions. You are given 2.3.1. You identify 2 provinces that contribute the highest percentage to South Africa's beef production. Hence, it was important for us to go through each and every information we are given in the infographic. So now you know the first question that you need to refer to the beef production, the provincial. Then secondly, you state the general trend with regards to South Africa's beef exports between 2019 and 2023 as it's shown on the graph. Again, this the second question is based on the graph. Then third question, it says, give evidence from the extract that in recent years, the South African beef industry was negatively influenced, which is affected by the physical factors as well as the economic factors. So now that we have seen the questions, I'm going to allow you the opportunity to go through the infographic on your own. So you have seen the questions and what you are looking for. Your provincial beef production, your beef exports, as well as the extract. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to go through the infographic, and then after 3 minutes, we will be ready to answer the questions. Right, with the hope that you are all done going through the diagram on your own, now you are ready to answer the questions. So I'm going to give you 6 minutes to answer these 3 questions, which means it's 2 minutes per question. And then after 6 minutes, we will be able to proceed to the corrections. Right, girls and boys, let us go through the fourth question. So with that fourth question, it says, how can a small-scale farming contribute to household food security? So here we are looking at the small-scale beef farming. You need to understand what is a small-scale farming. Remember, it is the type of farming that is done in the small piece of land, and there is a variety of crops or activities that are being done in this type of a farming. So contribute to the household food security. Again, understanding that food security is whereby everyone in the country has enough food which is sufficient as well as healthy. So again, they did not tell you how many responses you should give, but by looking at the mark allocation, which is 2 times 2, it means you need to give 2 answers. So for this one, I'm going to give you just 3 minutes, and then after 3 minutes, we proceed to the corrections. Looking there at our first questions, you identify the 2 provinces that contribute the highest percentage to South Africa's beef production. You will see there, looking at our provincial graph, Eastern Cape as well as KwaZulu-Natal was the highest. Then secondly, you state the general trend. Once the question is asking about the trend, you should know that your answer is supposed to be decrease or increase, but it will be based on the graph that you are given. If you see that the graph is going down, so it means it is decreasing. As we have seen there, if it means the graph is going up, then the trend is increasing. So you shouldn't lose those marks. Then looking at our third question, you have your A as well as your B. In our third question, it says give evidence from the extract. Again, not the one that you are thinking for yourself, but you need to choose from the extract. That in recent years, the South African beef industry was negatively influenced, which is affected by the physical factors. Remember, the physical factors is something that is not done by a person, it is done naturally. So looking at number 1, the diseases, there is no one who can make a disease. It is done naturally. Your foot and mouth, it's also the disease that was affected by the beef industry. And then number B, the economic factor. So the economic factor, you have seen in the article that the increase operational cost. So if the costs are increasing, it means it is affecting them in the economic, because that will be taking from their profit. Then we're looking at your number 4. Your question number 4, you are supposed to, how can the small scale farming contribute to household food security? So number 1, we're looking at more household, which means there are more families which will have access to beef. And you will remember that beef, it has protein. So therefore, we need those protein for our health. And also we're looking at if it's more accessible, the small scale farming are contributing towards it. It means even the prices will be cheaper, or it will be affordable. Then we're also looking at beef. It can also be sold in the local market. Again, it's another a contributing factor. Then also we're looking at the variety of other products. Remember, from beef, you will have your sausages, you will have your polony, you will have your burgers. So there are other variety products that can be associated with the beef production. So if it's also done in the small scale beef farming, it will also contribute or have a positive impact on our household in terms of the food security, which means everyone will be able to access beef and everyone will be able to live a healthy life because of the protein that we will find from beef. Then remember, you will also have other questions that are your 3x2 or your paragraph question. But for now, we are only focusing on the short and medium questions. Then we're looking at your figure 2.4. Your figure 2.4, you refer to the extract and the map on the Saldanha Bay Industrial Zone development. So you are given a key, again, it's the IDZ, your international airport, your railway, your harbor or port, as well as the roads. So as we have seen there, the extract, we're going to look at the extract as well as the map. So we have identified the map. You see the Saldanha IDZ, you see the roads, you see your airport, as well as your railway and the harbor. Then let us go through the extract. So the extract, it says the infrastructure investment key for the economic development. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to read the extract on your own. I'm just going to give you 3 minutes to read the extract, and then after 3 minutes, we're going to go through the tips as well as the questions. Right, I believe that we are done reading the extract. So in the key, in the tips, we need to read the extract first. We need to go through the map as it says in the instructions that you need to refer to the map as well as the extract. And then once you have done that, then you need to read the questions. In reading the questions, you identify which question is saying according to or refer to or quote. So your 2.4.1, in which province is the Saldanha Bay IDZ located? So knowing your South Africa, you should be able to identify which province is Saldanha Bay. And then secondly, from the extract. So again, from the extract, state 2 industries that IDZ port infrastructure supports. So 2 times 1. And then number 3, what positive social contributions? So we're looking at the positive social contributions to these industries. The industries that we have answered in question 2.4.2. Again, they did not tell you how many answers you should give, but looking at the mark allocation, it is 2 times 2, which means you need to give 2 responses. And then we're gonna go back to the infographic. Now that we have seen the questions, you have 3 questions, and we have seen which questions is asking according to the extract. They state the 2 industries. So I'm going to give you another opportunity to go through the infographic on your own now. As we have seen, this is the map and this is the key. So again, you identify the features that you see on your own. So let us go through the extract again. So now when we are reading the extract, we are reading with the understanding of what the question they have asked. So once you come across the answer, you then highlight or you underline it, then you write the question number so that when you are done reading, then you are able to answer accordingly. So again, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to read the extract again, and then after 3 minutes, we will be ready to answer the questions. I hope that we are done, girls and boys. So now you have the opportunity to answer these 3 questions. I'm going to give you 6 minutes. 6 minutes, so which means it's 2 minutes per question, and then after 6 minutes, we will then be ready for the corrections. Right, grade 12, looking at our first question there, in which province is the Saldanha Bay IDZ located? Remember, they've asked about the province, which is the Western Cape province. Then secondly, from the extract, you state 2 industries that the IDZ port infrastructure support. So they are supporting the maritime, they are supporting the energy, they are supporting the logistics as well as the engineering. So any of the 2. Then the third question, what positive a social contribution? Social contribution, remember these are the things that are happening in humans when they are talking about social. So what positive social contributions do these industries that we have answered, your maritime, make? So number 1, they have to employ people. So therefore, employment will reduce poverty. If people are being employed, they will be able to provide for their families, which means poverty will be reduced. Then secondly, it will also provide the standard of living. If people are able to have an income every month, it means even their standard of living will be improved. Then secondly, we're looking at the skills that these people will be gaining. Remember, if the company employs you, they still need to further train you so that you have the skills. Let's say you need to operate a machine. So again, you will be gaining some skills. And also, because of these industries, there will be an infrastructural development, which means there will be roads that will be constructed for these industries to be able to transport their goods, of which it will be a benefit into the local community as well. Then we're looking at our figure 2.5. Your figure 2.5 refer to the extract on the informal sector. So you are given an extract on this one. So again, I'm going to give you just 3 minutes to read the extract, and then after that we proceed to the tips as well as the questions, and then after we come back to the extract once we have seen what the questions are all about. Right? I believe that you are now ready to answer the questions. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes to answer these questions, and then after 10 minutes, we will come back for the corrections. So again, do not forget the mark allocation. It will give you an indication on how many responses you should give. So your 10 minutes starts now. I hope, girls and boys, you are done and ready for the corrections. So let us look at our first question as it says, what is informal sector? Remember, there are so many ways you can define the informal sector, as long as you understand when you're talking about the sector, we're talking about the business. And informal is the business that is not registered, or it's the business that do not contribute or they do not pay tax too much. And then number 2, how much is estimated value of South Africa's informal sector? It is estimated at 750 billion. Then number 3, according to the extract, how does the informal sector benefit South Africa's consumers, which is the shoppers? They are convenient because they are closer to the consumers. They don't have to take a taxi or they don't have to travel to them. And also their prices are very low. Remember, these people, they do not contribute towards the tax. So which means they are only focusing on making that little product, or that little profit. So therefore their prices are very lower as compared to the formal businesses, which is a benefit to the consumers. Then we're looking at your number 4. Your number 4 is saying, why are the spaza shops easily business to own? The first one, there is no license or there is no permit. If you have money and you have a space, you just create that spaza shop. And secondly, not registered, or there is a less red tape. When we're talking about the red tape, it means now whereby you go through informalizing your business, you need to write your business ideas, you must have all the things for the business in order. But with the spaza shop, you just need a little money as well as the space whereby you will create your spaza shop. And also there are few barriers to entry. As I've said, there is no license and you just need that space. And also you can operate it from home. You can turn your home into a spaza shop and people, they will come there to buy. You're looking at your local communities who will be supporting you. So you don't have to go to town in order for you to open that spaza shop. And also there are no official financials or like your tax returns. Remember, you are operating a business that is not registered. SARS, they are not aware of your business, so there are no tax returns. And also it is easily accessible. Remember, you can even do it in your own yard, so hence it is easy accessible. Then we're looking also, it requires just a little capital investment. You can start your business by having a mere 500 rand. You just buy a stock for 500 rand, you sell it, you make that profit, then you proceed. So that is why it is easy to enter. Then you're looking at your question 2.5.5. How will the growth of spaza shop benefit South Africa's formal sector? So you will understand that the people who are owning spaza shops, they are buying their products or their goods or their stuff in the formal business. For example, they can go to ShopRite, they can go to Pick and Pay to buy their stock. So therefore, more products will be bought from the formal sector, which will increase the VAT. Remember, as we are buying all the products every time, you pay the certain percentage of a VAT. You check in your slip there, it will say the actual price, and then they give you the VAT as well as the total including the VAT. So they are paying the tax indirectly via the VAT. Then secondly, we're looking at the increased demand for the formal sector goods as well as the services. So if there are so many informal sectors ordering or buying from the formal sector, which means there will be an increase in demand, the formal sector will be able to produce more of the goods. Then we're looking at the formal sector, which will consumer base will also increase. Remember, again, they are in the formal sector, they are depending on the consumers or on the customers to increase their buying power. So therefore, many informal sectors who are buying from the formal sector, it will also increase their buying power. Then you're also looking at the informal sector, which will grow. As it grows, it means there will be less people who are dependent on government, because people, they will be having jobs. So it will also lessen the burden into the government. Then we're also looking at the rise of the disposable income. So the disposable income, which will lead into the greater demand for goods. Again, people will be able to have the income. And also, they will be able to provide the services by the formal sector. Then we're looking lastly, the spaza shops which can keep money circulating within the local economies. So in this point, they keep money circulating in the local communities. Remember, in those communities, they have the formal businesses where they are ordering their goods. So it means they are able to circulate money within the local. Then we're looking at your question 2.5.6. You explain the economic challenges. So even though it is easy to enter, but there are so many challenges that are being faced by the spaza shop owners in South Africa. Such questions, you can also get it as a paragraph question. So we said their businesses are not registered, so therefore it will be difficult to obtain the finance or to get the loans, because as soon as they enter the bank will want the formal written business plan, as well as their bank statement and so forth. Remember, those people, they are dealing with cash. So they don't even bank their money, so they don't have access to the bank statement. So therefore, they don't have the requirements that are needed for them to have the finance or the loans. Then secondly, the banks are reluctant because their businesses is not guaranteed. Imagine if they want to borrow or they want to loan 100,000 and you come the next day, the business is not doing well. So they are now failing to pay back that money. So they are reluctant to grant them the loans because their businesses are not guaranteed. So again, another challenge is the limited finances to expand, even if they want to grow their businesses, but because they have less capital, they have no one who is financially helping them. So it is limited. And also they lack the cash flow. Again, they only depend on the people who will be buying on that day. You imagine on the day where there is no one who bought their stuff, so it means their cash flow will be less. Also, we're looking at the expensive transport cost. Remember, they need to go to the formal businesses for them to order their goods. So it's also expensive, especially to someone who doesn't have his or her own car, depending on the public transport. And also we're looking at, they are often victimized by the crime that destroy their stocks. Remember, when they come to check for the permit or for the license, they also vandalize their things. Then we're also looking at, there are no insurance. If one day, due to the floods or whatever reason, their business is being lost just like that because they are not insured. Then lastly, we're looking at the irregular or the erratic income. Again, it comes to a point whereby they are only depending on people who are coming to buy on that particular day. So their income, they cannot say every day they are guaranteed that they will be able to make a 500 rand or 1,000 rand, because it depends on how many people they have bought on that day. So we need to summarize what we have learned so far. We have learned about the coal mining. We have learned about the types of industries. We have looked into the beef production in South Africa. We have looked into the IDZ. And lastly, we have done the informal sector. So to give you the preview of our next lesson, we're going to focus on paper 2 revision under question 3. You will remember that question 3 is where you will have your map work questions. So we have come to an end of our lesson. Hopefully you have enjoyed the lesson, but most of all, I hope we have learned something today. Thank you and stay tuned for the next lesson.